Hello and welcome to the LL Football Preview Show here on GameTimePA. I'm John Buffone, and with me today is Pat Huggins and Andrew Callahan of the Lebanon Daily News, and we're going to be breaking down Section 2. Guys, a very interesting section, a lot of loaded teams, a lot of talent, a lot of conflicting styles here. So let's jump right into it. Who do we think is going to come away with the Section 2 crown this year?
I like Cocalico there. I just think they're just a team that kind of finds a way. They kind of, sometimes get lost in the Mannheim Central mystique a little bit, but they're always there and always well coached by Dave Kingrich. And again, it won't be easy by any means, but I like them being there at the end.
I got to go with Cocalico too, and I think it's in part due to their schedule, but also, Pat, you mentioned the well-coached nature. I mean, first, before you can win anything, you can't lose. Not a lot of things they do to hurt themselves. And, in such a section that's such a toss-up, you couldn't go wrong in any direction. Central, of course, you mentioned who's there. Garden spot's going to be tough, but the way things have lined up for Cocalico and how they showed up last year, in particular, as you said, just being very fundamentally sound, I think it's going to play their favor again in 2015.
Trying to pick a winner to this section in the preseason is like trying to predict the winner of a demolition derby. It's really, you really can't figure out who's going to win. LS is the returning champion of this section. They had a phenomenal year, fell short in the playoffs. Cocalico made it to the District 3 championship game against Bishop McDevitt. I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I'm also going to say Cocalico for a number of reasons. I love that triple veer option. They have Dante Haynes back, who missed the last part of the season last year with a torn ACL. He'll be back. He looked great in practice. And listen to their schedule. On the road, they go to E-Town, they go to Lancaster Catholic, and they go to Lebanon. At home, they host Solanco, they host Mannheim Central, and they host Garden Spot. Their hardest road game will be at LS in Week 5. That will obviously be a very big test. That could actually decide some things, and LS pounded Cocalico last year, so that is going to be a hard matchup for the Eagles. However, those road games are games that they were going to be favored in regardless. They're supposed to win those games. But when you have the home games against the returning playoff teams in the section, then you have a little bit of an advantage. So I'm also going to go with Cocalico just because I love their offense, and I think the schedule plays in a little bit. Guys, this section also has a lot of storylines. We would be airing if we didn't talk about the return of Colin Bearshank, the quarterback for Lampeter Strasburg. Over the spring, had a mass removed from his brain. There was a lot of questions on what was going to happen, and now he's aiming to come back this season. Arguably the best player in the LL, at least the best quarterback in the LL. What do you think that can do for the LS program this year, mentally as well as physically? Because the dude's 6'1", 220, throwing the ball back there. He's like trying to tackle a refrigerator. Right. So I mean, let's not give any disrespect to LS because they're going to be right in it as well.
Absolutely. You mentioned his physical attributes, and I think those are significant. And him coming back as well has got to be an emotional boost. I think it was a tough time for him and the LS community, and having him back on the field has got to be a real shot in the arm for everybody there at LS.
I'm going to piggyback off of Pat, and I think it comes at a good time. I mean, when a team that is coming off of a championship, you feel like you might lose a little bit of that edge, and you saw the support that Bear had from all corners of the country undergoing what he did, and now to come back on the field, you've got that regular inspiration in addition to an outstanding player. So whatever edge or question marks might have been emotionally about LS, they're certainly now gone. You ride him, I think, not only on the field, but off it in practice, whatever you need to go to that extra level. And I think it'll help them. Of course, we all said a little bit shorter than Cocalico, but it provides a boost in a number of different levels.
And another interesting storyline in this section is for the first time in over 3 decades, there's going to be a new head coach at Mannheim Central. That sounds weird. Mike Williams will not be the head coach, although it is rumored that he will be helping coach from up in the box. So, Pat, you've been around the LL for a while, and I'm sure Mike Williams has been the coach ever since you can remember.
Yeah.
It got to be. I'm sure Coach Dave Hahn, who's taking over, who was helping with the line, it was the line coach at Mannheim Central who got the job, isn't going to change too much. But just from someone who's been around the LL for a long time, how weird is it going to see not Mike Williams?
It's going to be super strange. I mean, you talk about Mannheim Central and you think of Mike Williams almost instantly. He turned that program into what it is today, and it's been almost an institution there in Mannheim for him. Even still being a part of the program to not be the head coach is just downright strange, and I think it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah,
and tough for a little bit of tough shoes, obviously tough shoes for Dave Hahn to fill as well, but I'm sure he's up to the task.
Yeah, and Andrew, can you talk about what it might be like for a new head coach going into that, trying to follow the footsteps of somebody who's been there for over 30 years, and then, not to mention, with great success, and all of a sudden, it's like, well, now the pressure's on this guy, and let's say the Barons stumble in the first couple games, then people start thinking. So it's got to be a hard situation.
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think what you've got to do is, you mentioned, following in said footsteps, you got to carve out your own path, and it might be a little bit different with Williams up there in the box, but obviously you want to take whatever elements of success you had over the past 30 years in your association with Williams, with the program, apply those, and then have your own spin on it. I mean, whether you're a coach, whether you're a teacher, or anyone in a leadership position, you've got to go to your own style and speak to your own self. So I think if Han is able to do that, and they're going to have to fight through adversity at some point in the season, whether it's early, late. If there's a commitment to him as the leader and he's able to take his own style and make some differences to the program, I think they'll be okay. They've got the talent, they've got the pedigree. All these kids grew up knowing what Mannheim Central football was. It's just a matter of Han taking the reins and being allowed to do so.
It certainly will be interesting to not see Mike Williams on the sideline, but the Barons, solid program all around, and so they'll definitely be in the mix of it come the end of the season. And now, guys, 5 teams from Section 2 made the playoffs last year. You had Lampeter Strasburg, you had Cocalico, you also had Garden Spot, Mannheim Central, and Solanco, who was the feel-good team of the year. Who with new first-year coach Anthony Cox there, a lot of people were expecting a lot of anything from the Mules, and they end up making the district tournament. Now, this is a quick, rapid response here. 5 teams made it from Section 2 last year. Will 5 teams from Section 2 make it this year?
I'm going to say no, but that's not any downgrading of those 5 teams that are back. It's just so difficult to do and so rare for something like that to happen. That being said, I can see 4 making it, or again, a 5th threatening to make it and playing meaningful games at the end of the season. But I'm going to lean toward no.
I would agree with Pat. Whenever you have a scenario, as you said, it's so rare, so positive. Lady Luck's a friend at some point along the way. I think even if she just comes out to being neutral, it's going to be tough to get 5 back in there before. It would not be surprising.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to say all 5 get back in. I think whenever you're playing in Section 2 in the LL, it's kind of like the LL version of the SEC. Yeah. You can't go down in the rankings too much, because even if you lose, you lost to somebody who's very high in the power rankings, because you're playing a quality opponent almost every week. So I know Garden Spot lost Mitch Martin, their quarterback, but Coach Zamperini is very resilient. I feel sure that he'll have something in motion to make up for that. Solanco, They did lose some up front, but I think that they put in a pretty good program there as far as their offense and defensive balance to be able to be in games this year. And you know what? Let's not count out Lancaster Catholic. They could possibly be in there too. They could be that 5th team if one of these teams doesn't make it either. And I think Lampeter, Strasburg, Cocalico, and Mannheim Central all make it into the playoffs this year. So I'm going to go ahead and say that all 5 do. Now, gentlemen, in your neck of the woods in Lebanon, Lebanon High School would be the only Section 2 team would be the only Section 2 team in your county. They got an uphill battle though in this section, don't you agree? If they want to carve out their name here,
yeah, they really do, and they kind of do every year, and that's sometimes unfortunate for them. I think their record doesn't always reflect their talent level, but it's just so hard to go up against that every year. And Lebanon struggles with numbers sometimes. They're always a tough opponent with the air raid offense. They can be explosive. They can score points in bunches, and they're the kind of team you can't take lightly either. But they have a rough go of it in Section 2, no question.
Yeah, being able to stop by the program and chat with some of the coaches and the kids, you see elements of exactly what Pat was talking about. I think they're going to be a little bit stronger in the lines on offense and defense, which is going to help them. And they can score points, but if you can't stop the run, you can't do much in this game. And what they're going to do to try to remedy that is switch to a new 4-2-5 defense, which everyone has said is much more simplified. They want to play faster, they want to react more, and be able to really get after the ball and rally there. So how well they're able to do that will probably determine their season, and it doesn't start any more important than it does week 1 with the Cedar Bowl. From there on, it's almost murderer's row as they go back into section play.
Well, there you go. Section 2, it's a demolition derby. It'd be wrong to say there's a clear-cut favorite going into the season. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So thank you for watching the LL Football Preview Show here on GameTimePA. We'll see you next time.